Dumelang bahaichu. Lugai bahaichu. Minjani bakiki. Nikwi. You know, it's really so wonderful. Ukubona ukuthi uBhuli wayethanda kangaka. Noma sekubanda kanje. Hayi. But before ngiqhubeka ngalokho ngifuna ukukusho. Ngifuna ukubonga nje usisi Wendy. Sis Wendy, you're okay.
I'm okay.
Ah, you're okay. Yeah. And then futhi kakhulu ngifuna ukubonga Ntate Semenya. Ntate Semenya. It's all right. No. Abantu bafana nawe bayabalwa. Yeah, bayabalwa. And uyibambe kanjalo ngoba isipho lesi. Yeah, it's not everybody who penetrates kangako ngomqondo. Yeah. And then to everybody, ladies and gentlemen, okay, bombele bontate, ditlogolo bo malome bo rawale bo rakgadi kare dumelang ke thaba gagolo gore le teng le tlo re felegetse. Jaanong nna ge ke tshwanetse ke kwale mosebetsi yo ka bane ke nna tlhogo ya lapa la wa Semenya. Ke last born ya Ntatago Bobi, or last born ya kwabo Ntatago Bobi. My brother was the firstborn, and his children ki Bobi, ki Samatari, ki Oupa, ki Chiki, ki Uga. Oh, yeah, Kijapi. Babu Kiba, these are my brother's sons, 6 of them. And my brother, he nearly missed my father. My father had 6 boys and 1 girl. Yeah, I think in Oya there is 1 girl. So my brother actually was exactly like his father. 6 boys, 1 girl. So I mean, I am the last of the boys. And then bahambile bonke manje kusitsina kenna byanonhloya kwaSemenya. But you know what's really important and what I really feel is kana hangenesi Ntate Mkhulu sekhaile Semenya sabatadi utheletsu yena sekhaile Semenya. Even my son, I gave him the same name. I gave the same name. But I have to go back to my grandfather and my grandmother, because my grandmother is the one who really told me more about the Semenyas, my father's mother. Because by the time my grandfather had gone, but my grandmother was still there. And then there's my father. And then Bubaba Mkhulu, he was a very independent soul, very independent. But then Washona, when I was still young, Hasana no mama. Oh, mama was a fantastic woman. I am what I am Namkan because of that woman. Not many people will believe that. She taught me everything. Even the way I bank, Maupete 10 rand wanak, star 9 or 8 we save. Ukampawa ja whatever kaya 2 rand. Skaja 8 rand or save 2 rand. She was really the pillar in my life. So. Now, coming to the family, like I said, my grandfather and my father and my grandmothers, both of them, on my father's side and my mother's side. I'm happy we have this opportunity ukuthi sizobekela uBobby ilitshe. Actually silibekile silivula manje. It's really a beautiful thing because uBobby, you know, Bobby, what is happening manje, it's like it was preordained. Because Bobby was a very curious guy, and you could debate Bobby, I mean, for days. You debated because he always questioned something, and he used to love me because I've got a library. I mean, I know Mama. I was like, you know, the library. I've got a fantastic library. All the years that I've been outside, I was collecting books on knowledge, because when we were growing up, you know, there was a narrative, we were taught a different thing about history, the history of Africa, but also about religion. You know, the philosophy was Western and everything was about the colony. The colonizer, you know, gave us education, and you know, if the colonizer gives you education, there's something wrong with that education. And there was a lot of it which is wrong. And learn to you know, abantu bakithi, they really had this because when I was outside, that's when I really found out who I am. I mean, truly, truly, truly. Because, but I was fortunate because, you know, I grew up in a house of people who were really independent. Lavandwana, they are not unique. They take it from the family. Yeah, they are not unique. They may think by unique, but I know, because the people who raised me were very independent, and they Umama did not tolerate anything. And I saw this inner woman who stood up with my pool, you know. And so my Uchapi, Abai gangster, it's not because my mother was a gangster, my father. It's independence. Because who gangster, Alex Buza, if you're not, you don't stand up, also you got taken for granted. Or was a kutuza every day, but the so you understand the job. But you couldn't anyway, you know, it's a long story, and but like I said, the reason ukuthi uMkhulu no Khalekule bayenze lo msebenzi the way bayenze ngakhona, and balimele or little libuele bathi because Bobina leya narato buwa telebo Egypt, you know, Kemet, go Ethiopia and so on. And it's just a pity with Uhambe before he met you, you know, because really you were going to love him. He was a wonderful guy. You know, he used to challenge me a lot, and he used to ask me all kinds of questions. Masi say it was in the library, he would go on and on and on. And he had a questioning mind. He never just accepted things. If you told him what he learned, then he would argue with you again and again and again. But if you were not a patient person, you would actually get angry. But I didn't, because I knew that he was just like me. He asked questions, like I do, like my brother was, like my mother was. So, as I'm saying to everybody, it's not a coincidence, and it's not something which is out of place. Bobby would have loved it. He would have loved it, and because the lessons, as Haile said, we have shown, and I know my grandson, he does not show by anybody just like that. So it's because we've impressed him about a knowledge that really he didn't know. Some of the stuff. He knows quite a bit, but some of the things that you talked about, he didn't. And I hope with everybody, don't look at these things as if it's strange. It's not strange. Yamana Tina, we were pierced. Yes. And our minds were pierced, you know, pierced by people who invaded us. We were waylaid, you know, we were surprised. Mkhulu accepted Labantu as Abantu, you know, and actually even accepted their God and their gods, you know. They didn't know what about Dylan, you know. Yeah, no, it's the truth. And this we found out, how can they? Let me say this. I need you know about African Americans, Black Americans, or Amanigo. We sitting Amaniga. You know, we didn't know that that was an insult. Masukura Amaniga. We found out we don't find out they are just like us, but they were brought over there as slaves. They were enslaved. They were not slaves, but also like Africa. They were enslaved. There's a difference between a slave and an enslaved person. So they were enslaved. And just to show you Uguti, Uguhama Ubon, you know Uguti, as much as they were there for 300 years under slavery, Uguti, they actually created a culture which is theirs, even though they were enslaved. Do you know Uguti, in their churches they don't sing La Una, Sholani Willie, they don't sing European melodies in their churches. They have created Esa, or what you call gospel music, comes from a long historic rejection of Western culture. Their language was taken away, but their heartbeat, that's African. That's African. You cannot take the African out of the African. And they're not. And do you know, Mina, I learned about the Kemet from them. From the African Americans, you know, even to this day. And it was difficult because they were completely taken away from this continent. But that African spirit, Namjan the gospel, it's because they created the gospel. They are the masters of gospel. They are the masters of jazz. They are the masters of rhythm and blues. They are the masters of the spirituals. They are the masters of knowledge about Africa. They know more about Africans than we do. They do. We were taught about Maulana Karenga. They taught us, you know, this is the way Lomunta Selens are called. Because if you remember, Mount Bega, all the pictures that when I was growing up, angels were white. Yes. And the devil was black. Yes. Now, if really you are a Christian, you cannot teach people like that. Yes. You have to follow what Christ was talking about, Jesus. Yeah. But Borabazela, and they painted themselves and they are not Jesus. The picture that we see is not Jesus. Because he does not come from Germany. Jesus Christ was not a white man. He did not come from Germany. This we found out in America. Because also the conversation goes on. You know, they still argue about Christianity. Yeah? They do. Some of them, they don't accept it because you've got the Jews, you've got the Arabs, there are so many religions. But in our space, one religion, a religion that they control. Not that Christ did not exist, but they have appropriated Christ. But far away, then it's a white man on the cross. Was a German? Was a Italian? You know, they've got all kinds of pictures. That's why these are the things we used to discuss with people. And also, it's very important in Africa, let's read. Let us read. Let's look for information. We can free ourselves. Our minds are still controlled. And there is nothing wrong with that religion. There's nothing wrong in believing in Christ or in believing in Islam or whatever you want to believe. But do not take the culture of those people. Because what they do, they push their culture through a religion. So, and why did, if you read the Bible, did Jesus Christ tell them to go and change people's names? No. Why don't they leave you with your name and just teach you the truth? As they said, they bring you the truth. No, they teach you ukuthi man so George. Hausa tololi sipo. Wabona rozengano. Unkile culture high. Okay? The same thing, Islam does the same. Usetoli yourself. You are no longer sipo. So all these things, it's already training because we don't understand. You know, it's important for us, and I'm saying this because this is how we used to discuss nobody. It's important for us to understand multi religion. Go to the source of the religion. Go to the source. I mean, if Ntate Semenya, some Masai was it's the source that gave him that. So Tina Sitata a religion, then they don't know what they are talking about. There is one country, we are at the tail end of this continent. This continent is huge. I didn't know this continent was this huge. It takes about 11 hours from Cape Town to Egypt. It takes 11 hours from Los Angeles to London. Cutting across the United States, all over the Atlantic Ocean. It's the same distance. So you see how huge this continent is. And that is why it has so many languages, because believe me, you don't expect people in a huge continent like this to speak one language. And we were cut off. You don't know what Ethiopia is actually the living remnant of Kemet. Yes. Did you know that? Yes. And the Ethiopians are the ones, the Somalians. If you want Egypt, Kemet, by the way, Egypt. Yes. It was named Egypt, Rama Greeks, but it's Kemet. Yeah, Meruwe. All those places, that is why we have to learn, go to the source to understand the religion about Jesus Christ was a Jew. And it's not Jesus Christ, that's not his name. If he was passing there, he said, hey, Jesus, he will not turn his head. He is a Jew. He was a Jew. He was not a Christian. Jesus Christ, Yeshua was a Jew. He practiced Judaism. And Judaism, by the way, it's not a people, no, it's a religion. Yeah, there are all kinds of people in China, people who are Jews. They're religion, just like there are Christians. You know, there are Chinese, there are whatnot, they are Christians. And then you've got all kinds of locals, and then the Buddhists. It's the same. So we have to understand that there are different religions. Yeah, but one thing. And then, basically, we didn't know Mphethikazi is because the Ethiopians did come here, but later the real Christianity here. And Mkhulu actually killed Ethiopians who had brought the real Christianity. Ethiopia is the oldest Christian country in the world. Did you know that? Did you? You knew, yeah. It is the oldest Christian country emhlabeni. Before there was a Roman Catholic Church, there was the Church of Ethiopia. The oldest Bible namhlanje emhlabeni, the Christianity or the Old Testament is Ethiopia. Did you know that? It's important. It's important for Nama Africa. Arabali, Menangopobi, School Malaysia. Yeah, our uncles. I'm not to say that because there are many books that talk about Christianity. Yeah, what? It's a long story, and I don't think, but I am just good to I just want to inspire you. From now on, let me go to the source, because without the source, whatever you're holding is nothing. Go to the source and learn. That's why Itu Bobby would be very happy with Uncle. I don't do it now.
Yeah, she's gonna do Sireto, Semenya. Sireto, Semenya. Okay.
No, careful. You can hit the drums for us, please.
Dabetita konyana ya makosa bazulu konyana gandaba kuwano matete kuwe Dabetita konyana ya makosa bazulu konyana gandaba kuwano matete kuwe Dabetita
Batho ba ngata ya masele bana ba sipi naga o iphela ka nosi o iphila naga ya bo baba mo setsego ke ditshwetlha di iketlile mo boleng wa Mkhulu di okametse noka ya mohlapetso bona bo mmamasai a semenya setuma moleng ba ka ntebelele ke theko ya matwa maikutlo ba dudulela go tlhabana matebele go tlhabana ntwa ya matebele maune we matebele we maune we matebele we age monoko go tswala batho ba re monoko ge o ya baneng wa
This is very inspiring. There's that good image. I love that you the flow of energy. Ngicela ukuthi abangakhothi nabasimenya baphukulwe okay mele siqale manje sinokuthi ukuthi yasola tolo bali our road is leading now to the Senate ko Vatafal, right? And then bana hopelo bana ba e bona ba tla le maplomo ne ba wanke re tsama le maplomo to kholo wa fikiso ba go Senate for the premier.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Right. I'm looking at the time. It's 2 minutes before Siphahle.